Well, hello there, and happy St. Patrick's Day, and happy Fashion Flair Friday. I am so excited to be back with you today after all my friends here in California. Those of you that are in this group, you know what it's been like. So I'm just thrilled to finally get our power back, and boy, it's amazing how much you rely on power for everything. Holy smokes. Well, listen, say hi to me. Tell me how you're doing, whether you survived okay, whether you had any problems, or whether, they were intermittent. I understand not only here on the Monterey Peninsula, which has really been bad, but even up in the Bay Area, Silicon Valley area, people are without power up there for 3 days. So, wow, let's hope now we have a short reprieve here. I guess it's going to start raining again on Monday, so we'll see what happens. Hi Betty, good to see you. Oh, glad to have your power back as well. Yeah, nothing like power for sure. And heat, and let's see, TV. And we were able to cook because we have a gas stove. So we were able to cook a little bit, soups and kind of things like that. But warm water, a shower. Fortunately, we could go shower somewhere and go plug in our devices, and you take all of that for granted until you don't have it. So, anyway, I am glad to be back, and I'm glad you're here. And of course, today is St. Patrick's Day. And of course, I had planned last week to talk about green, about the color of green. And so, yep, this is timely. It's worked out. We're going to be talking about green on St. Patrick's Day. So I'm wearing my spot of green, and I hope you are too. Let me know if you're wearing green for St. Patty's Day too. All right, and don't hesitate, by the way, to ask any questions as we go along. Hi, Casey. Glad to see you this week as well. It gives me encouragement to, be here with you every week. All right, so last month we talked about the color of red for Valentine's Day and for Heart Month and so forth. And so this month I thought it was appropriate, not only because of St. Patrick's Day and green in March, but also the start of spring. Hopefully, spring. Are you coming? It's supposed to be here in just a few days, so let's hope we're going to see some sunshine. Anyway, last month when I talked about red, I made reference to my friend Linda Thomas's book, Color Nation, The Power of Color. So I wanted to just start there and read a few things that she had to say about color. Um, some of these things I knew, some of these things I didn't know. But yes, we all know if we look outside, and at least as I look out my windows, I just see green everywhere and all different shades of greens and intensities of green because there are so many trees, that I can see from my window. And so we know that green is nature's basic neutral, let's call it. Everywhere we see it, and especially this time of year when everything is sprouting and the plants are starting to come out of the ground and the leaves are starting to unfurl, and we're just seeing just tons of beauty. So what I didn't know, well, in the Middle Ages, I did tell you last month that the color of clothing often showed a person's social rank and their profession. And I mentioned last month that red was the color, or is the color, or was the color worn by nobility. And you probably can guess that brown and gray was worn by the peasants. And guess what? Green is the color that was worn by the merchants and the bankers and the gentry and their families. So I thought that was interesting. I didn't really realize that green was worn by the bankers, but I guess that makes sense, doesn't it? Um, I can also tell you that product marketers also, when they're introducing a new product, the color of green is one of those colors that they find really excites people and gets people passionate about what they're seeing, the excitement for the new ideas that go into a product. And now, of course, we certainly hear a lot about going green, the encouragement for our recycling and a greener, more eco-friendly approach to living on this planet. We also think about gemstones, the greens. We would think of malachite and jade and emerald, which is the May birthstone if you happen to have a May birthday. Peridot is an August birthstone. So there are several greens in our gems that we associate. Now, I will say that green is a tricky color, and that's kind of what I wanted to talk about today, because green is a combination of both cool blue and warm yellow mixed together in some sort of percentage to create different variations of green. And so that kind of gets us confused, and even sometimes it gets me confused. And I work with color a lot. So I bought this particular top thinking, oh, this is a great color for me. Now it's interesting because when I look on the screen, it actually looks pretty good. But when I look at it in person, I can tell you that it is showing up in person almost like a leprechaun green, if you will. It's got a lot of yellow in it. And so when my hair was browner and golder, this color, as I'm looking at it, was perfect. But now that my hair is going gray and it's cooling down, I really need to add more blue to my greens in order to make them wearable. And so when I look on the screen, I am seeing a bluer green than what I'm seeing in person. So, you're going, well, maybe she does know what she's talking about. Anyway, green can be considered a cool and a calm and a soothing color. And we associate green with different scents. So think about, I'm surrounded by pine trees. So the scent of a pine tree, or pine needles, or even fresh cut grass, or a squeezed lime, or menthol, eucalyptus. All of these aromas really have kind of a calming effect. And you'll see behind me, I have a candle that's burning right at the moment. And let me just bring it up here. You might be able to see that the glass is very pale green, almost like a celadon color. And would you know that I love this scent this time of year because it is a combination of eucalyptus and mint. And it is so fresh and so wonderful. This is a candle. I love this brand. I may have told you about it before, called Nest, N-E-S-T. We have a couple retailers here locally that sell it in their stores, but you can also go on to nest.com, and they have, I think, the best fragrances that hold for hours. And even after you blow the candle out, you can still smell it for quite some time. So not inexpensive, but long lasting, and eucalyptus and mint, fabulous. So I have it here, just reminding me that spring is almost here. All right, let's see, what else did I want to tell you? Emerald green, by the way, was Pantone's color of the year back in 2013. And Leatrice Eisman, who I happen to know, she's the executive director of the Pantone Color Institute. And she said, green is the most abundant hue in nature. The human eye sees more green than any other color in the spectrum. Symbolically, emerald brings a sense of clarity, renewal, and rejuvenation, which is so important in today's complex world. And yet, I'll tell you something, until this year, we really haven't seen a lot of greens. I mean, Kelly greens or lime greens, pastel greens. We saw a lot of olive greens. But this year, oh my goodness, it is everywhere. So I wanted to just show you some examples. First, I thought I would show you, this is my color palette. And of course, probably all of you know that I do color palettes and I do color analysis for my clients. And so let me get this here in order. And I can just hold this up here and you can see how all of the colors that are on this palette really work back to my personal coloring so nicely. So you'll also see that there are some greens, don't you, here on the palette. So I'm going to pull those greens out and just talk to you about them for a moment. And so not every year will you be able to go into a store and find colors that are on your palette. And that's just the way it is. But boy, when colors come in that are on your palette, that is going to be the time to actually do your purchasing. So you might, Janice says you don't look Irish. No, but I like to pretend. I like to, celebrate all of you that are. Anyway, so what I was going to say is when your colors, and these are the greens that happen to be on my palette, and you can see some of those greens are very neutral. So for instance, let's see, this one has got a little pop, but these are pretty darn neutral. And they are my olives. They're my bronze green, my black olive. And these colors are pretty inherent for me because of my eye color. So I can wear that color all year long. And here I pulled out a sweater and you can just see for a neutral, this is just a wonderful replacement for a black in my wardrobe. So that's how I use my olive green. But then, of course, you saw that there are some colors here that have some pop to them. But you also can see they are pretty different from what I'm wearing. You see? So guess what? So I'm covering up that green with my jean jacket to make it work, adding a necklace that's got a little black and has some actually lighter, paler greens and make it work. But now I know that these are two colors. This one is called Jadeite Jade, and this is called Malachite and Mallard Green. And again, on the screen, they are showing differently than they really are in person. So that is one reason why you cannot do color analysis on Zoom. So just be aware of that. You can do it virtually, but you just can't do it on Zoom because the color, the way your screen is calibrated is going to make a difference in how the color actually shows up. So anyway, what I know now in saying all of that is that these two color sticks are sticks that I really want to use as I'm out purchasing anything for spring or summer in my greens, because why wouldn't I? The stores are full, and I want to show you some examples of that. Take a little sip here. All right, I told you also last month that artists will begin with tubes of paint, and they will put the, squeeze out the paint onto their palette, and they will start mixing color, and they will change what I call the quality of the color. And so I want to just talk about first the hue of green and the fact that this might be a good example for you to see. Let's see, hold on a second. So sap green right here, you can see it's got a lot of warmth to it. It's got a lot of yellow in it. So someone that has a lot of yellow either in their hair or their skin or even their eyes really can wear colors, a color green that has a lot of yellow in it as well. But as you see, as we squeeze out sap green, we can change the quality of that sap green as we go down this column. And it can do a lot more than that, but this just gives you a general idea how sap green can create all of these different qualities of the color. And then there's also what is called chrome green, which still is pretty warm, especially, you can see the warmth down in this area, the avocado and the fern and so forth. Now, when I hold up this page, starting right here with Hooker's green, Verde green, permanent green deep, you'll see how now these three have more blue in them. So that's where I'm saying you've got to know how much you can push your greens to the warm side and how much you can push your greens to this cooler side or somewhere in the middle, which we would call neutral. So that's why really identifying and why a color analyst will look very carefully at your personal coloring and then design a beautiful palette around it, because guess what? You walk around all day, every day with your eyes, your skin, and your hair color. Although I know the hair color can change, which, as I said, mine has been doing. So I wanted to show you just some of the things that, just receiving some catalogs recently and flipping through them as I had plenty of time to do over the last 8 days. I just wanted to show you some of the colors here that you're going to see in the stores. All right, so you'll also know that some colors are quiet and muted, and you're going to see some colors that are more intense and lively. And that's very important, that the quality of that color really be matched back with the personality and with the coloring of the individual that's wearing it. So if you just look at this particular model and then you look at her clothes, you can see how beautiful everything, her face, her hair, how it's all just working back with this outfit so beautifully. And this is what I would call probably a muted celadon color. And some of us can wear muted colors and some of us can't. So you need to know, can you wear it? And the way you test that is by going into the stores and really holding the pieces under your chin and really looking, well, what happens to my skin? Does it go boring, or does it liven up and lighten up? And does it, again, really express your mood or your personality? Now this color is, you can see here in the skirt, a very, very pale seafoam green. So it's got a lot of white or a lot of water mixed in with the color. But then again, you look at our model and you can just see how that color ties back to her so beautifully. Now, one caveat I'll make is not always do the retailers get the right match of the model with the clothing. And in fact, sometimes they do it on purpose because they don't want you looking at the model, they want you looking at the clothing. So, be careful of that. But in this case, it does work beautifully. And this also this is a seafoam, as I mentioned. The other, you could also call this maybe a muted celadon. Pretty close. All right, here now we get a little more intensity of color. Okay, not a lot of intensity, but definitely, compared to the previous one. And this would be a sea foam that's just got a little more intensity. It doesn't have as much white, or it's not washed quite as much as the one that you saw previously. And of course, this model has a little more intensity in color. And so this is probably going to be the most muted she's going to do. She can do a lot more in intensity of color of green. This color is, you can see there's a lot of blue in these colors, these past that I've shown you. Even though they may be subtle and they may be muted, there is blue in them rather than yellow in them. And this would be another one. What is this one? I said this is called a cactus green, but it's got a lot of blue in the green. And here is another one that you can see, just a little more intensity, but also blue in the green rather than yellow. Okay, now we sort of switch And we're going to see a color of green that's called a leaf green, also mixed with white. But you can see how it just livens up, and you can see the yellow in the color. And you can also look at this model with her hair color and with her skin tone and with her brown eyes and see that she's got a lot of warmth in her personal coloring. So a color like this that's got more warmth to it really works better for her. So knowing these things about you is very important, but can you believe all the greens that we are seeing? So here is another example of a spring green, still a bit of blue in there rather than the yellow. Now I'm going to show you a lot of warmth. Do you see how it changes now? And we're moving over to more predominantly yellow in the green than blue in the green. All really fun pieces. And from sweaters and scarves and pants and shoes and handbags, there is a green for everybody out there. So this is the season, if you like green, to get out there and figure it out. All right, now here is one of those sap green, the yellowest of the greens, and you can see it right there. And with her very warm skin, that's a beautiful combination. This also would be a slightly quieter version of sap green, so a little something has been mixed with it to tone it down just a tad, but still there's brightness and there's intensity of color that, again, with her works very well. Now, I want you to look at the intensity of this green, but also look at the intensity of the coloring of this model. So that's where I'm saying, you know, as your intensity of color, your personal intensity gets stronger, then so too your clothes can get stronger if you choose to. So here is do you see another green? So these are coming out of J. Jill and Talbot's and Soft Surroundings and the typical catalogs that we received today. Look at this one here. Love it. So this is a spring green. This might be our little, well, not quite our leprechaun green, but this is a green that really would work well for me if I just get out there and get it. Now this color is maybe more of the leprechaun green, and very intense and definitely warm, but not as warm as what we see here. And here is what I was talking about, where if you don't want to do it in clothing, you can do it in shoes. So great little loafer, and we probably all know or have seen that loafers are the big shoe of the season. And so to have it in a fun color. They're also, I noticed there was a picture here. Let me find it. Here would be another way to do it, in a little handbag with just a pop of color over your denims or over your navies or over your whites, over any color. So any neutral color always enjoys having some sort of a pop to bring it alive and to have fun with it. So let's see, do I have any questions? No, I don't have any questions. Oh my goodness. Am I doing a good job of explaining things? Anyway, so that's the story on green. And I just want to encourage you that this is the time to get out there and to have some fun with this color. Number one, it makes us feel great or it makes us feel calm, depending on, as you saw right at the beginning, those very quiet, calming, soothing greens, those celadon, muted celadons, to those really vibrant, poppy sap greens that I showed you at the end. So what is right for you? The question is, will you be buying anything in green for this season? Tell me, will you be? Betty or Janice, do you think you would buy something in green, or do you already have things in your closet that you could go to? Maybe even just a scarf. All right, I'm not seeing any comments, and I don't see any questions, and I hope it's just not my. Oh, there's some. Oh, Betty, yes, I have a closet full of green. Of course you do. Now, you have some Irish in you, don't you? With that, yeah, green is one of my happy colors. Yes, absolutely. And I would bet, though, that your greens have changed now that your hair has gotten softer. So when I first met you, you had a lot of red in your hair and you could do more intensity of greens. And I'll bet now that you're going lots of Irish. Now you're still doing the green, but you're having to tone it down just a little bit. Let's see here whether we have any other comments. Janice, how about you? Are you Irish? Do you have any little bit of Irish in you? I wonder. I haven't seen you in green, I don't think, but I think you could wear it. Just finding the right shade, the right quality of the color. So I think that is going to do it for today. I'm so glad that you're all here. I'm glad you're safe, and hopefully you haven't had too much stress over the last week. And let's just hope that we don't have, what do they call it, atmospheric rivers coming on Monday. Hopefully it's just going to be a rainstorm and not be too crazy with all the wind. I mean, I'll tell you, those 70-mile-an-hour winds, when you are surrounded by 80-foot and higher trees, is really scary. So anyways, fortunately we didn't have any go down, but my neighbor across the street had 4 big ones fall in her yard, fortunately not on her house. So thank the dear Lord. All right, you all. Well, listen, I'll look forward to seeing you back next week for another edition of Fashion Flare Friday. And stay well and stay warm and stay dry, and we'll see you next Friday, I hope. Take care now. Bye-bye.